My husband, Jake, and I have been married for almost 10 years. We have two amazing boys, 5 and 3. I love him more than words can say. He's my rock, my safe harbor. He had one small weakness, though. He loved to play pranks. At least, he used to. Now, some people might say that's awesome, and I'd agree. Sometimes his jokes were so funny, I'd fall out of my chair laughing. But other times, more often than not, his pranks just left me devastated, sometimes even in tears. He'd always apologize later, but he never seemed to know when to stop. That's when my friends Sarah and Jess gave me an idea. "You need to get him back," they said. "Tell him you cheated, but don't tell him it's a joke right away. Act depressed, build up the tension, make him worry, and try to get you to open up." Jake was scheduled to come home from a business trip in 3 days. He owns his own IT consulting firm, so he's on the road a lot. I have to say I've never cheated on him, not even close, and my ex-boyfriends were always faithful, so I had no idea the kind of pain this lie could inflict on someone you love. 3 days passed, and Jake was finally home. We spent the whole night catching up. We had missed each other so much. The next day, he spent with the kids while I was at work. That evening, I dropped the boys off at my mom's house. The plan was for us to have a full week together, just the two of us, and for me to finally get my revenge. The next morning, my act began. Jake noticed my downcast face immediately. He looked at me with concern, but I kept the act up for 3 whole days. On the 4th day, he finally put his arms around me. "Babe, what's going on? What's wrong?" he asked. I pulled away, sat down on a chair, and started to cry like I never had before. "Honey, I'm so sorry," I sobbed. "I fell for someone else. I cheated on you." I just kept crying. For a few seconds, he was completely silent. Then, in a voice I barely recognized, he said, "I wish you two the best. I'll file for divorce tomorrow." He bolted out of the house, jumped in his truck, and sped off. I didn't even get a chance to tell him it was a joke. I called his cell phone, but it was off. I called his office, but his friend and business partner Mike said Jake wasn't there. He had told Mike he was taking some time off and left him in charge. I broke down crying and told Mike everything. "Are you kidding me?" he yelled into the phone. "You really thought that was funny?" Mike tried calling Jake's other numbers, but they were all off. Mike told me all we could do was wait until Jake showed up on his own. A few days later, I heard a rumor that one of my work colleagues, a lawyer named Tom, was in the hospital. The gossip was that Jake had put him there. I was shocked. Jake has a black belt in martial arts, but he's the kindest man I know. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Then I found out it was true. Jake really had gone after him. He used his contacts to find out who I spent the most time with at work. It was Tom. We travel a lot for business, signing contracts together, so it made perfect sense that Jake would assume Tom was the other man. I went to the hospital. Tom was lying there all bandaged up. He was just as confused as I was. He had met Jake once when I had introduced them and couldn't understand why he had been beaten up. I told him the whole story, and he yelled loud enough for the whole hospital ward to hear, "I would kill someone for a joke like that." Tom's wife was furious with me, and we almost stopped talking. I understood completely. I'd probably feel the same way. But we ended up patching things up. Tom even dropped the charges with the police. I went home and just fell apart. I was shaking, on the verge of passing out. I screamed at my friends on the phone for giving me such a terrible idea. That evening, Jake's lawyer called and said Jake had officially filed for divorce. I would be getting the papers soon. When I asked where Jake was, the lawyer said he didn't know, but that Jake would show up for the court date. The court date was in 2 months. Those 2 months were a living hell. I missed him so much. I hated myself for what I had done. The only thing that kept me going was our children. Being with them was a small relief. 2 months later, on August 28th, I was waiting in the hallway outside the courtroom. I was trembling, completely out of control. When I saw Jake, I ran toward him. I tried to talk, but the words wouldn't come out. I was so stressed, my mouth just wouldn't work. But I pulled myself together. Jake, however, pushed me away. He said, "Get away from me. I can't even look at you." I was screaming it was a joke, but he wouldn't listen. Thankfully, his friend Mike was with me and he stepped in. He held Jake back and explained everything since I had lost my bearings and could barely stand. Just as I was about to collapse, Jake caught me. When I came to, I started crying and begged him to forgive me. I could see the doubt in his eyes. He asked me to take a lie detector test, and I immediately agreed. The test confirmed my story. He held me tightly right there in the office. His body was shaking, and his heart was pounding so hard I felt numb. When we got home, I put him to bed and lay down beside him until he fell asleep. I got up to hang up his jacket and found something in his pocket, a bottle of powerful antidepressants. My own heart almost stopped. I threw them away immediately. It took Jake 3 weeks to recover from my innocent prank. He asked me never to joke like that again. I realized in that moment that maybe I hadn't loved him as much as he loved me. I had always felt like I was the one who needed more of his love and attention, but I was completely wrong. Looking at him, I knew I'd married the most wonderful man in the world. Jake went and apologized to Tom. To make it up to him, he bought him the car Tom had always wanted. Tom hadn't even mentioned the car, he just knew. Since then, our families have become close. We spend holidays together. This past New Year's, we were all at our house. My friends brought up my stupid joke, and they all started laughing. Everyone but me and the guys. It wasn't funny to us. I truly understood how much he means to me. I still get sick to my stomach thinking about how much I hurt him. As for women who feel their husbands don't give them enough attention and say they fell in for someone else, my mom always says, if you truly think you're lacking your husband's love and affection, go open your closet, look at your clothes, then look at his. Look at your nice coats, then look at his. Look at your shoes, then look at his. All your complaints will disappear. And if they don't, the problem isn't your husband, it's you. You just wanted to sleep with another man, and no amount of attention would have stopped you. People like that are just sluts. And you know what? My mom is absolutely right. Women who do that to a man who truly loves them are real whores. I hope those husbands leave them and find happiness with someone who will cherish them.